Welcome to Living Vividly, the podcast where health, wellness, and curiosity collide. I'm Jackie, the founder of Vivid Health and Wellness, your guide on this journey to living your happiest and healthiest life.
My co-host Daphne, the unconventional dietitian, is always ready to shake things up and bring a fresh perspective to your wellness journey. And we can't forget Dustin, our producer, who keeps everything running smoothly behind the scenes. Together, we'll chat with health and wellness experts along with everyday people who have inspiring stories and practical insights to share. If you're ready to nourish your body, move better, and discover simple ways to thrive, you're in the right place. And hey, if you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to leave us a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Amy Bernhard, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm excited.
It's going to be so much fun. We have so much to talk about. How did you get into this health and wellness world?
You know, I started my Instagram account in October of 2011 because I was skinny fat. And I thought it was my genetics. And it was before I knew that these photos were going out into the world, you know?
So explain what you mean skinny fat.
Oh, the muffin top. Like the, just a big thing of lard, you know, with no muscle. You know, it was like Gumby.
Why?
And so I started following these fitness accounts, and they were teaching me about food and whole foods, and my food was very highly processed, and I had the mentality of lifting weights are going to make you bulky. You know, that was so I was doing like 2.5 pound weights. Long story short, I ended up learning about how to build muscle, and that food, you know, your abs are actually made in the kitchen, and I got into fitness competitions, and I did really well in that. But after I had my first daughter, I gained 60 pounds, and I'm pretty sure 40 of them were in my boobs. Legitimately. Like, my ankles were so skinny, I didn't have the swollen nose, and I just thought that the weight was just going to fall off, and it did not fall off. Like, I actually gained more weight because I was breastfeeding, and I was like, breastfeeding's going to burn all these calories, num, num. And no, it did not. I gained more weight, and then I consistently started and stopped and started and stopped. And we're going to do the 75 hard. Nope, that's too hard. We're going to go 75 medium. Actually, medium still too hard. We're going to do 75 small. Like, just trying to come up with something. And I was just always the all or nothing mentality. But what really kicked off this like whole awakening journey, obviously, COVID exposed a lot. You know, the whole ivermectin debacle exposed a lot because I have always openly, I see my Instagram as a digital scrapbook, and I like to say that I heal out loud. I share the things while I'm in it, and I'm just documenting my journey, and you never know what you're going to get. And back in 2021, whenever I got the Delta version, I was just told Instagram, well, y'all, I'm taking ivermectin, and I'm good. I'm alive and well. I was swimming with my kids, and they just couldn't believe that I was like alive, you know, and taking ivermectin. And so I began sharing screenshots of other people using ivermectin, and I began realizing that, like, wow, people are having to sneak this medication. I have screenshots. All the receipts are on my highlight. And I kept getting messages from people saying that, you know, I tried to get this into the hospital, but they patted me down and they took the medicine away. And that's when I was just like, oh my gosh, this is way bigger. And that's when I went down just multiple rabbit holes. But my personal health journey of just like healing my body, healing my hormones, looking at food differently was whenever I tried to get pregnant for the second time. And I thought that it was going to be super easy. And we tried for 6 months. I'm like, okay, 12 months go by. 14 months. Okay. And it took us 18 months to get pregnant, but around the 14-month mark is when I started to get curious. Like, what's actually going on in my body? I went to see a fertility specialist.
I was going to ask if you saw anybody to help kind of guide you.
I did.
But they don't usually talk about food.
No, and they don't talk about genetics and things like that. And we did all the testing, and I was perfect. And my husband, legit, the doctor said, your husband could win the gold medal in the sperm Olympics. Like, we've never seen sperm this healthy. And so I
ego boost.
Right. He was like, well, how much money could we get for this? You know what I'm saying? Legit, we had that conversation, and then it got weird. And so I was like, this doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm perfect. He's perfect. Secondary infertility. I'm not against IVF at all. I have friends who I love their kids who are, you know, it's a miracle. I think that's one of the great things about science. I got curious and I was like, there has to be, I think God is putting me on this journey for a reason. You know, it's much deeper than this. And so I went to see a naturopath, a local naturopath, and the first thing she did was genetic testing. And that's when I started to learn about methylation in the MTHFR gene mutation and breast implants. I had breast implants at the time. I had no idea that breast implants actually have heavy metals in them. And that's when I just had this, I'll never forget the day. It was March 2nd of 2022. And it was just this moment of gratitude that I was so grateful that I did not get pregnant when I wanted to, because I learned about food. I was able to learn about my body and how it operates and what it needs. And it was just this moment in time, like it's a moment where you remember where you're standing. And I was like, I'm okay if we never get pregnant. Like, I feel so grateful to be on this journey, and this is why God had me on this journey. And 2 weeks later, we had a positive pregnancy stick. And it was just like, I think I had to surrender that too, because your body's in fight or flight and you're stressed. That was super long to say that's how I got on this health journey. And it's just been evolving ever since.
So it was more for your sake, because a lot of times whenever you have your first child, you have to heal something in the child. And so that is what makes you dive into this health and wellness and understanding how food plays into the way your body functions and your immune system and all that stuff. But in this case, it was you wanting to better understand yourself. So your daughter didn't have any health challenges.
No, not my second daughter. My first daughter did. But I just thought, that's just how she was created. Honestly, it wasn't until years later, you know, my first daughter, when I was having this awakening, and I don't know if y'all want to talk about it, but we're going to go into it and y'all can edit this out. But it was just, my first daughter had a lot of issues. And my second daughter, she was actually born with a cleft cheek. And so we had to go through surgery, but she was very healthy. And so whenever I got pregnant the second time, I told my husband, I said, our first daughter has so many health issues. I would like to see what not vaccinating does. And he was totally against it. He was like, absolutely not. I said, just continue to pray about it. And we chose not to vaccinate her. And she's our healthiest child out of all of them. But no, it was me going down that infertility journey of just getting curious. And now I'm so hyper aware. Now when I choose foods, it's not about, oh, I can't have that for weight loss. It's about, how is this food going to actually make me feel?
Right.
It doesn't make me feel so tired. I'm not going to have energy to get through the day. And it's just being mindful of, okay, I can have this, but I know the consequences of how I'm going to feel, and I'm going to feel really lethargic after.
It's like informed consent. Like, yeah, I can have the cupcake, but I'm going to have to take a nap.
For sure.
Versus I'm going to be really energetic with my kids. I wish I would have gone through this health journey prior to having kids, because I feel like the way I parented them as babies, and their health too, would be so much better. But mine's the opposite. I had my kids and then they had health issues, and that's kind of what triggered mine. So
that makes sense.
How have your eating habits changed? Like, what were you said before, whenever you first started, when you were skinny fat, you were ultra processed foods. I mean, I feel like we can't, as females, get through, you know, teenage years, early 20s without weight being something that's always a goal. It's like our society and our culture has made it where you have to be
skinny and fit.
Yeah, you have to like be paying attention to weight. The way that we do it comes in all different shapes and sizes. Prior to your health and wellness change, how were you attempting to just be healthy and be happy, even though it wasn't really working for you?
You're talking about back then?
Yeah, back then.
It was very much if it fits in your macros, tracking macros.
Okay.
Following a meal plan that was eating out of gallon bags, you know, prepping my meals, which is honestly, it worked, right? But it's not sustainable, especially when you have kids. You don't want to be eating out of a gallon bag and eating cold fish or tracking your macros. And then it was very much the low fat diet, like the chemical shitstorm diet.
Yeah.
Like I was all about the Walden Farms,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it was so
that?
bad.
Because it doesn't have any calories.
It's so bad.
I never heard
Tell
of
them.
Walden Farms.
It's a salad dressing that's basically like a water and chemical flavors, but and sweeteners. It has no calories in it.
sounds healthy.
It's so terrible. And I couldn't understand why I was bloated and I had acne all over my face and stuff. And I really think a lot of it was actually the food.
Yeah.
But that's what it used to be. And I didn't understand intuitive eating. I couldn't even wrap my mind around the fact that, wait, you can actually lose fat without tracking calories.
Right.
And you can just eat whole foods and I don't have to measure everything that goes in. And so last year, almost a year ago at this time, I invested into this course and it was a huge investment, but I was at my rock bottom. I was 176 pounds. It was our wedding anniversary. We were celebrating our 7th wedding anniversary. And my husband, he shops for me. He loves to buy me clothes and shoes. I'm not into that. I like sushi and I like books and I like courses. That's what I put. And blowouts. I love me some blowouts. I don't like to wash my hair. And so he bought me all these brand new clothes. And I was like, man, that is so nice. And they were all size larges and they didn't fit. And the thought to go, there's nothing wrong with an extra large. But for me, I was always in a small. And so to go to an extra large, I just had a breakdown that whole day. I cried that entire day. And I said, something has to change. But I realized it was the stories that I was telling myself. I was telling myself, I'm not a disciplined person. I'm consistently inconsistent. I always start and then stop. It was becoming my identity that this is the person that I was. Oh, I'm always tired. This is my genetics. This is how I was created. You're just going to gain. And those stories just became toxic. And it was like a defining moment. I had been following this woman on Instagram. Her name is Fat to Fit Amy P. And I was so inspired by her journey because she started her fitness journey, her health journey at 51 years old, which is usually when women start to
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, and
Your hormones are changing and it's really hard to lose weight.
She lost 70 pounds in 2 years, packed on all of this muscle, and it was just like, okay, you're the one that I want. If you can do it, I can do it. And so I reached out to her that day and I said, I want to do this. And we got on a call a few days later and I sobbed and I said, this is the last coaching program I ever want to do. This has to work. And what I loved about that specific coaching program, I feel like I'm selling it. I'm really not. But it was a course within it. It wasn't just eat this.
Right.
It was actually teaching you. And they went into depth about the Industrial Revolution and how our culture used to be in the 1800s and farming and the foods that we ate and teaching you how to read a nutrition label and understanding what these ingredients actually mean. And I learned more in this course than I ever have in my entire journey. And I really believe that, yes, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is really where the magic happens.
Right.
And I just became obsessed with learning about food and learning about ingredients and intuitive eating. And she's also a fasting coach, but she believes in timing it around your menstrual cycle. Because I had always heard fasting is to make my hair fall out. Fasting is going to make me, my colon fall out of my booty hole. It's going to be all these terrible things. But I never thought to time it around my cycle because I've tried fasting in the past with my husband and he had no issues with fasting. And me, I was hangry, but then I started to learn about insulin resistance and glucose and all the glucose spikes and everything. And so when I started to just dabble into fasting and timing it around my cycle, I just felt better. I felt more energized. The brain fog went away. And my weight loss has been very consistent. It's only been about 2.5 pounds a month. But I have this model, the slower the fat comes off, the longer it's going to stay off.
Yeah.
And for me, that's sustainable.
There's a really important thing that you started with. And I think the things that you tell yourself in your head that we just repeat, we all have them. You just repeat it over and over. That story becomes what you do, what you believe. So for example, I always talk to people whenever I work with people individually, talk to them about I hear what they tell themselves, the things that they say. So for instance, one lady's like, I don't know how I'm ever going to lose weight or get healthy because I don't cook. And I was like, well, you're not cooking right now, but if you continue to tell yourself you don't cook, then you're not going to cook, but you know how to cook, you know what to do. And so we're just going to say that you're not currently cooking, and that will become part of your journey later on. So those things that you just kind of say over and over and over, that you tell yourself, the stories usually are not true, or they're reinforcing a pattern that is keeping you stuck into where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would encourage people too, that whoever's listened to this, if you feel like you're stuck in that pattern, what I had to do, and they encouraged me to do on this course, is actually write down. They made us take 20 minutes, write down every story that you're telling yourself. And a lot of mine was, I don't work out at night. I'm too tired. I can't work out with my kids. I can't exercise with my kids. I had over 30 stories that I was just like, and then when I saw them on paper, I'm like, wow. And I thought it was like so woo, and this was so not important. Honestly, I feel like that was the most important piece. Like, you have to do this and identify that, because you're right. I had to then begin doing the opposite of the story I was telling myself. So, I can't work out with my kids. I made it a priority. Kids, you get your ass on a bed.
Yeah.
You come and work out with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we're doing this together, because I wanted a disconfirming experience. I wanted to show my nervous system that I can actually do this. And I heard this years ago, and I can never unhear it. But they talk about creating new neural pathways in your brain. And I know y'all know this. But there was this one guy, I saw it on Instagram. He says, picture yourself walking to the beach. When you walk to the beach, there's always just this one path that's cleared, and it's easy to get there. The grass is, off to the side. There's no rocks. It's easy to walk on. The sand is soft. But then one day you decide you want to go on a completely different path you never went down. This path has grass. It has little insects. It's itchy. You're stepping on rocks. It's so difficult for you to stay on this path that ultimately you want to go back to the easier path. That's like creating a lifestyle change. But the more you take the path that you haven't walked down, the more the grass is going to go off to the side, the softer the sand's going to get, the more familiar it's going to be. And that's what I just kept telling myself in this health journey, is that this feels so difficult. This feels so unfamiliar, but our nervous system, it has two goals. It wants to keep us safe, and it wants connection. And what's safe to our nervous system is what's familiar. Our comfort zone is what's familiar. Sitting on the couch after work, binge watching Netflix is what's familiar. But is that necessarily good for us? It could be, depending on the season of life you're in, but it's not going to help us to reach your goal of what you want. And it also wants connection. And I think back to what we lived through 2020 and 2021 and 2022. A lot of people did things simply because of fear of being isolated, isolated from their friends and their family. And so if you, in all your decision making, I always remember that, okay, our nervous system wants two things. It wants connection and wants safety. And what's safe is what's familiar. And that way you can operate out of a way of authenticity and just knowing that your nervous system is actually working. Your body's working for you. And so now it's like autopilot for me. I have my routine. It's like putting on a seatbelt, but it's taken me 4 months to get here, where I'm not thinking about what I'm going to eat. I used to not cook either. I always said, I don't cook. My mom didn't cook. My grandmother didn't cook. It's just generational women of not cooking. No. The buck stops here.
Right.
I'm taking radical responsibility for my health. I'm learning how to cook. It's a slow process. And I want my daughter to learn how to cook, and I want to be able to pass that gift to her. There's so many resources out there nowadays. You can look on YouTube. I mean, people are teaching you how. You have no more excuse.
Right.
And that is the key, is taking radical responsibility for your health and knowing that everything in life, where you are now, it's the choices that you made, good and bad, you know, and I had to accept that as well. I got myself in that place of where I was. I can get myself out of it.
There's so much discomfort in all of that. And so just like you said, with your nervous system wants you to be comfortable. It wants you to be safe and keep doing the same things, even though you know it is the thing that is keeping you from reaching the goals that you want to reach. Change in general. So I'm working with a business coach, and I've been doing nutrition stuff for a very long time, 20 plus years. And so from a business perspective, the nutrition side is easy. I mean, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and telling people everybody has the same challenges. So we're kind of reinforcing things over and over. When it comes to business, I am not a business person. And so I'm working with this business coach, and we're working on change and changing the way that I'm doing things in business. And the last time I met with them, I said, I feel like I am constantly pushing a boulder uphill. It feels like a constant challenge. Everything feels so hard. And it was then that I realized that the nutrition lifestyle stuff comes easy to me because I've been doing it for so long. But these literal tiny changes, I mean, sending an extra email, these very, very small business changes feel like they suck all of the energy out of me. And it was that when I realized that is exactly how people feel whenever I'm working with them, because I'm pushing them to do something different. And so change in any aspect of life is hard. It is very hard, but it's whenever you get into the pattern of the recognition that the hard is going to get easier. So it's really hard right now, but it's not always going to be hard. It's going to be hard for a little while, but you keep doing it over and over. And then it, just like the new neural pathways, it gets easier. It's an easier path to walk. And every time you do it, it gets easier and easier. And so my philosophy, everybody knows, is inch by inch, life's a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. So when we keep doing things consistently, small steps, then it gets easier. But just like you said, I mean, your pattern, which you were saying that you are consistently inconsistent, start something, stop. Start something, it feels hard. It's too hard, I'm going to stop. But if you're moving about it in very, very small increments, whatever feels manageable, whatever feels like this is what I can do in the moment, and this is what I'm going to be able to do next week and the following week, even if it's tiny, 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 that little bit of consistency is going to make the rest of it a little bit easier.
And celebrating those small things as victories instead of like, oh, I didn't do all of this. I didn't lose 20 pounds this week. I walked more this week than I did last week, and just being proud of yourself. And you said something about the stories that you're telling yourself. In a couple episodes back, I said something probably, oh, I'm crazy. I don't know. Melissa Bowen was on and she said, don't talk about my friend like that. But it's true. Like if you talk to yourself negatively, it's just going to reinforce that. But you start talking kind to yourself and then making these changes because you love your body and you want to help yourself versus punish yourself. Oh, I can't eat the cookie and I have to go run to lose weight. It's a totally different mindset than, oh, I'm going to eat this nourishing food and I'm going to move my body because I respect the temple that is my body. And it's just a different way of looking at why we're doing this. We don't have to do it. We get to do with this, and we get to
It's so
love
true.
ourselves.
And there was a light switch for me when I hit 36 years old. That's when I started this lifestyle change. I don't know if I was going through like some like midlife crisis, probably, but my goal was like, oh, I want to look good naked. You know what I mean? Like put me in a little bikini. I want to be looking good by the pool. But then it was like this light switch of, okay, longevity. Why do I want to have muscle on my body? Muscle is going to help build your immune system. More muscle is going to give your glucose a place to go. More muscle is going to prevent injury. You can live longer. And that way, now I'm like, okay, if I don't use my muscle, I'm going to lose it. So I say every day, got to get to the gym, because if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it. I want to be able to get off of the floor without having to like roll to get myself up.
Right.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's very like, humiliating and humbling to do that. I wanted to just be able to stand up. I want to be able to carry my 7-year-old daughter. There was this moment when I started my lifestyle change and I started lifting weights again. Me and my daughter went to the Lauren Daigle concert, and she fell asleep at the concert. And you got a long way to walk. She was like, can you hold me? I'm like, no, I can't hold you. And I'm like, yes, I can. And I carried that little baby alligator all the way back to the car. And I'm like, this is what it's about.
Right.
Like, I want to be able to do these types of things. And obviously the physical changes are going to come with it. But it was that mindset shift. And then also, because I have this all or nothing personality, I have this like go big or go home. There's no gray area. That's awesome, but also it's a curse.
Well, it's also something that you're telling yourself because you're obviously capable of living in the gray area.
Gary, right. Because I then had to say, okay, I'm building upon my goals. Let me just start with the one change, like you said. And that one change, honestly, I started this in June of 2023. That's how long. And that one change was, I'm going to just change my food. I'm not going to worry about lifting weights. I'm not going to try to get a gallon of water in and all this stuff. But I said, let me just swap whole foods. And I did Whole30 for the first time. Oh my gosh. Y'all. I didn't realize how addicted to sugar I was when you do Whole30. It was like they were whispering to me, like Caroline's Cookies and Crumble Cookies and Great American Cookie. And I made a reel about it actually because they were calling my name. And then around day 10, my body kind of started to regulate. And I lost 8 pounds of just straight inflammation.
And Whole30 isn't crazy. Like,
It's
you
really,
can do it.
Yeah, it's
I
doable.
pretty much do it like full time now without even thinking. Whole30 is basically just eating whole foods, eating foods that don't come out of a box, a bag, or a barcode. But now there's a lot of Whole30 approved like dressings and little snacks, and you'll see the Whole30 thing. And I started with that, and I did that for honestly 6 months. I didn't want to go back. And then I said, well, let me incorporate fasting because I had the foundation of food. Let me incorporate fasting. I did that for 6 months.
Explain to us how you do you said it's set up with your menstrual cycle, but how long are you fasting? Like, do you have certain times where
Okay, wait. Before we get away from Whole Foods, how do you feel about Whole30?
Okay, so my honest response to Whole30 is that it kind of pisses me off because it's just an elimination diet. And it's way before Whole30 became Whole30, we were doing elimination diets, which were essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
And then they came along and the Hartwigs, I believe.
Branded it.
And branded it. And they were like, oh, Whole30. I'm like, we've been doing this for 5 years. I've been teaching people this.
So you like it. You just hate the brand.
I like it. I wish that I was the one that would have branded it because I wouldn't be sitting on the couch here right now. But
Ouch.
She loves sitting on this couch with us.
I would be somewhere else, like tropical for sure. So I love Whole30. I think it's a great diet. Cool. I think it's a great start to really be able to understand what you're putting in your body, what kind of things to be looking for, what's causing inflammation. I just wish that I would have been the one that branded it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Because I'm all for it. Like, I did it quite a few times in a row. But it ended up being kind of more of a lifestyle thing. It was mainly because of my allergies.
Yeah.
And it helped it takes out pretty much all the top 8 allergens people have.
So it's really good the purpose of it is to decrease inflammation. But in doing that, you become so much more aware of what is in food and how to switch to just like real food
and how it makes you feel.
Whoa.
And how it makes you don't understand like when you're just stuck in like that cycle of inflammation and insulin resistance and you just feel like you're chronically tired. That was my main concern. I got my thyroid. Y'all, I spent over $5,000 with testing on all the things because they clearly, and that was a story, my body's broken. That was a big story. My body's broken. Something's wrong with me. And I was searching for something to be wrong, and I wanted something to be wrong to validate why I'm so tired. But it was the food, and I didn't realize that I could actually feel energized and feel better with just switching out my food. It was just this, like, how food is really medicine, And it was just this revelation. But to go back to the menstrual cycle and how I'm timing it, I read this book called Fast Like a Girl, and I am very type B. And I think that that's why this works for me because I don't have a structure. I don't have set times. I just kind of look at my day. So the day you start your period and the next 6 days after is the best time to fast, to do long fasts. You can do a 24-hour fast. You can do 36-hour, 48 is when you're actually on your cycle, which I thought but it makes sense.
Like, it was counterintuitive to me because I'm like starving when I'm bleeding.
You would...
But maybe it's just because I'm...
It's the week before you start your period where you don't want to fast at all.
Right.
Like literally not longer than 12 or 13 hours. And then whenever you get closer to ovulation, you shorten your fast to around 15. Don't maybe go longer than that. And then after ovulation, it's just kind of like this. After ovulation, you can incorporate longer fasts. And then 5-6 days before I start, I'm not fasting at all. I'm just walking. I'm not lifting heavy weights. That's when I feel the most lethargic. But I just encourage people, like, listen to your body.
Yeah.
You know, we're all designed so different. We all have different cycles. Don't try to just be so regimented and I have to do 18-hour. That's when it's going to cause more stress. This should just be very simple. Like this morning, I could have fasted. But whenever I fast, my brain is firing so fast that I feel like I wouldn't have done this interview very well. So I decided to eat because I feel better.
What is it supposed to be doing, the fasting?
So
in this way?
Sure. You're going to get different benefits based on the length of your fast. So
because then I want to ask Daphne what her opinion on this. Because I feel like I know how you feel about fasting.
I know how you feel too.
But no, that's why I want to ask this first.
Yep.
See what the book says it's supposed to be doing.
Like, what do you feel? Like, what are the benefits?
So the book says that 13 to 16 hour fast, that is when you're going to get more energy, less brain fog, and that's the intermittent fasting. That's for the fat loss. Anything over 17 hours, your body's going to start to have the cellular repair, the autophagy. The 24-hour fast, anything over 24 hours, that's called the gut reset. So you're going to have more autophagy, but then you're also going to start to get stem cells. They're going to be released into your body. And then anything longer than the 24-hour, you're just going to be getting more gut repair. I never did anything longer than 29. And it wasn't because I was hungry. It was because I had too much energy and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't fall asleep. So I ate an avocado with a piece of toast and I went back to bed at like 11 p.m. But what I feel when I'm fasting, energy is my number one. Mental clarity is my number two. I've been able to reverse my insulin resistance. So I'm really glad I did thermography and I did blood work to test my fasting insulin. And so my numbers, all of my numbers have come down.
So thermography showed your fasting insulin?
No, thermography showed that...
just the inflammation.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And it showed that my body was not releasing estrogen. I was estrogen dominance, which I just discovered that insulin resistance and all that is a effect, you know. But yeah, I was able to reverse all of that. Like my blood work went from like kind of in the middle. Nothing was really in the red, but it was kind of like in the middle to now it's like all optimal in the green. And so my hair growth, that was one thing. I was like, will my hair fall out? And I feel like when you get too strict with fasting and, you know, it's stress on your body. And so if you already have stressful life, it's just going to add more stress. To me, that makes sense. But if you really listen to your body, I actually have a mullet. I posted a picture the other day. Like my hair growth is like, I look like Billy Ray Cyrus when my hair is down. It's just like popping out. And so my skin is clearer. I used to have like this red tint to my skin. And now it's just, there's no inflammation to my skin. So.
And how long have you been doing this cyclic fasting?
14 months.
But when you do eat, you're conscious about what you're eating.
Oh, yeah. I'm eating big meals like whole foods. Like for breakfast, I eat the same breakfast every single day. And, you know, I might eat the breakfast. Like this morning, I ate it at 8 a.m. But if I'm breaking my fast, I might eat it at 11. It's just the same thing. It's 3 whole eggs, some cottage cheese, half of an avocado, some blueberries. And then if the chick's at the farmer's market making my favorite sourdough bread, House of Bread is the best at the farmer's market. So good. Because it's real fermented sourdough bread. I'll have a piece of toast.
And how long before you started fasting did you get into that health food?
6 months.
Okay.
I started changing my food 6 months before, and then I got into fasting. And now it's just like autopilot. I don't even think about it. I have my main meals. You know, I'm sure y'all can feel the same way.
At our event in January, I asked you if you wanted something. You're like, no, I'm fasting. And it was just like, God, when I fasted, I had to like lock myself in my house so I wouldn't seafood,
Seafood.
I wouldn't see seafood.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what do you think about fasting? My dad fasts, but he'll do like 48 hours. He's a hardcore faster.
I have to be so busy to not eat. Like,
I can fast when I'm sleeping.
yeah,
It's really easy for me.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So you want to know my opinion on fasting? Is that what you're
Well, I
asking?
think what I know about you in fasting is it's good if you do it basically 12 hours max at night.
Not necessarily. I do agree that if you're a cycling woman, that it needs to be in sync with your cycles. I think that everyone needs to be fasting for at least 12 hours.
That's what it was.
All the
Okay.
time, because we need that time, at least 12 hours, to let your food completely digest, to let the little microbes in your digestive system break things down that are not supposed to be there, move things through your immune system or through your digestive system to prevent your immune system from getting flared. So I think 12 hours should be standard for everyone. When you're pushing it beyond that, I think so it's going to affect men and women very differently. Again, kind of depending on cycles. Men usually have an easier time fasting because they don't have so much hormone involvement. Remembering that is a stressor on your body. So if you have thyroid dysregulation, which is very common for women, then fasting can make it harder. I mean, it can create more stress on your body. So until that stuff gets regulated and antibodies get decreased, then I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. Fasting also, in my opinion, should not be done every day. So I actually had a conversation with my husband this morning about his brother-in-law who said he eats one meal every day all the time. I'm like, I don't necessarily believe that type of fasting is beneficial because there's absolutely no way that you can get the nutrients that your body needs and the protein and the vitamins and minerals in one meal daily. That meal would have to be like really big and on point.
Yeah, you have to be very mindful about what you're...
And people are not doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a place for fasting. I don't think that fasting needs to be done the same way every single day. I wouldn't push fasting beyond 24 hours. I think that's kind of a cutoff where if you're pushing it further than that, then I think that you can start to get into some muscle breakdown, where your body starts using your own muscle to be able to fuel your body. 24 hours is kind of the number that I have in my head. I haven't dug into the research if it's 29 hours or 48 hours, but 24 is usually pretty consistent with what I always say.
What would the reasoning behind a 24-hour fast be that you'd be like, okay, once every month or something?
Well, like the gut reset, like Amy said.
Yeah, so it helps to bring down your insulin levels. It helps to, again, kind of break down. And I think you could do it more than once a month.
Okay.
But
It is a good restart. Like, okay.
Yeah, just kind of start from scratch. Also, I think fasting can be helpful for some people, especially people who are not in their menstrual cycle. So people that have got past menopause, whenever they just have a hyper focus on food and there's constant chatter, mental chatter about food. What am I going to eat? Do I have to start preparing things? What time am I going to eat? Am I going to have time? All these mental things that happen, the mental conversation that happens constantly. Whenever you just say, okay, well, we're not eating past 6 p.m. It doesn't matter what's in the kitchen. It doesn't matter what's in the pantry, what healthy foods you have. We don't eat past 6 p.m. And so it just kind of shuts off that idea of, well, I do have some healthy, blah, blah, blah. So maybe I should go get that. And it just shuts it down. So you're not having that conversation anymore. And it can give you a little bit of just peace and mental relaxation that you don't have to be thinking about food at that time.
I couldn't agree more. That was for me because I call it food noise. It was
Yeah.
like I was constantly thinking about food, what I'm going to eat next, preparing, all the things. And yesterday I just ate an early dinner, a really big, high protein, high fat dinner. I got my carbs from fruits and sweet potatoes. And my last meal was at 4 p.m. And I was just like, okay, that's it.
Just be done.
And now it's not controlling me. I'm not thinking about it all the time. It was just, okay, there was no temptation. And the thing is, when I eat that early dinner, maybe it's 5 or 6 o'clock or whatever, I sleep so much better.
Yeah.
I used to think, ooh, I want a big, full stomach. But when you really think about it, I heard Dr. Ben Edwards say this. He has an amazing podcast called You're the Cure. And he just believes that the body can heal itself whenever you give it the right terrain. That's his whole mission. And he was just talking about fasting and the benefits of just eating a dinner a little bit earlier because your body can rest and recover and it's not focused on digesting. And that's something that's so simple.
Yeah.
But I was like, why didn't I think of that? Because I always used to eat so late because I thought I was going to sleep better with a full belly. But no, I wake up more tired,
Yeah.
because I'm not sleeping very hard. So I couldn't agree more with the food noise and everything you said.
And for me personally, I've worn a continuous glucose monitor for a while. And I've noticed that if I eat later, even if it's just something like a handful of nuts, mixed nuts, so that would be kind of a common thing that I would grab, even that makes my blood sugar go up and it stays up for hours. And so my blood sugar doesn't come, and it's not going up high, it's just going up. So like it's not really getting above 140 with something like that, but it may hang around on 125, 130. And so I'm going to bed with that, and then it is harder to get my blood sugar to come down. So it's just easier for me to not have anything in the evening.
I've also heard that if you're waking up in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. or something, that often means it could indicate a sugar spike, a blood sugar spike.
Either a spike or a dip.
Could it just mean you have to pee?
Potentially, yes. But it could be that you're waking up. I mean, surely you've gone through the night without having to pee. So
I don't know. I drink a lot of water.
Okay, maybe you just have to pee, Dustin.
But
But it
honestly,
could be that you're waking up because of something else, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to go pee, and then you get up and go pee.
that's a crazy thought.
Yeah.
Because I
So-
wake up probably once every night, and I say to go pee, but that's a curious thing.
Yeah. So it definitely, those overnight wakenings can happen either because of blood sugar, because either high or low, but cortisol is the other big one. So it's oftentimes it's hormone related.
But I just read something recently how insulin resistance can actually make you urinate more at night because I used to urinate 3 and 4 times, legit, like constantly
In the middle of the
waking
night?
in the middle of the night. And I always thought, oh, it's because I drink a lot of water. But now I'm sleeping through the night, like, which I have never done.
Oh, I gotta go get checked.
Seriously, it's just really wild. And then I also used to think that, you had to be overweight to be insulin resistant, but then it also depends on the amount of muscle that you have, like the more muscle you have on your body, the less likely, because it has, your glucose has a place to go.
Right.
So I didn't think that thinner people can be insulin resistant, but they actually can, So it's just been eye-opening. I thought I was going to have it on, but I started using a continuous glucose monitor back in February. That was so eye-opening for me. And I feel like it's not talked about a lot, which is glucose, because, for the first year of my lifestyle change, it was just intuitive, like listening to my body. All my fasts were listening to my body, working out, the food, everything. And then I put on the monitor and seeing, like, even, it was so eye-opening. I buy these chips. They're only 3 ingredient chips or 2 ingredients, and they're no seed oils. And I used to just snack on those chips, right? Like, not a big deal. But I would snack on them in the carpool line, which was around 2 o'clock. By the time I got home at 3, I was like, I need a nap. So I put on my continuous glucose monitor. Those chips spiked me just as high as almost a king cake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, this makes so much sense why I'm so tired, because I'm not pairing the chips with any type of protein. It's just a
Right.
chip by itself.
Well, and a chip's a chip. I mean, whether it's fried in avocado oil or sunflower oil or soybean oil, it's still a chip.
That's Daphne's other saying. A chip's a chip.
A cookie's a cookie. Whether it's gluten-free or sugar-free, it's still a cookie. So meaning it doesn't have any really nutritional value to it, So, and something like that it's not real food.
It's not real food. Yeah.
Even if it's, and I've had this conversation numerous times with my cousin. She's like, I found these chips, they're fried in avocado oil. I'm like, that's great. It is a level up, but it's still a chip.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I honestly didn't know that until like literally February of wearing that continuous glucose monitor. And it was so empowering to now, okay, what is my body saying? Oh, I'm exhausted. Then looking in my little app with the, I have a huge spike. This is why I'm exhausted. Let me swap out my food. And
So it pretty much did the same thing as a regular chip.
yeah, it did.
That's crazy.
I know. And it's really sad.
Like it might have not caused as much inflammation because it's avocado oil versus canola, but it's still spiking your blood sugar. So it's more than one thing. We're not just looking at blood sugar. We're looking at blood sugar, inflammation, muscles. There's so much going on. That's why just whole foods.
Whole foods, walking, I mean, you can incorporate fasting. You don't have to, but that's what I did. It's whole foods, walking, fasting, weight training, just getting sunlight, walking outside, getting sunlight. That's what, and
It's really that easy.
It sounds so simple because it is. Like, I'll never forget when I first started that program that I did last year. I was like, I was in the process of unlearning everything. Like, what if I'm not getting enough calories in and my protein and I need to hit my macros and all this stuff? And my coach just said, hey, like, when you're hungry, I want you to eat. And when you're not hungry, I want you to stop eating. I'm like, what do you mean stop eating? Because I have to hit this. And she was like, don't force yourself to eat if you're not hungry. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. But now it's like, but we've been so programmed and we've been so, I mean, look at the 90s food pyramid. It still pisses me off. I'm very bitter about it. I'm very salty, as the kids say. At the bottom, it's like, just eat the bulk is the breads. Yeah. And even this college that came out recently, it's laughable. The college, I can't remember what college it was, but they were saying Cheerios at the top, like eating Cheerios, but meat, red meat and butter, avoid. Still, that was last year that just came out that they're still feeding. I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah, it was like they were grading food.
It was green, yellow, and red. And it was avoid red meats and butter, but Cheerios was at the top. And it just, I couldn't even see straight. I was so triggered. And they're still teaching that to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's unfortunate that there are so many different messages coming from so many different angles, which are all funded by the food industry. So we're going to see what happens over the next coming years. We'll see how things shift and how things change. I have high hopes. Currently, they're all still just hopes.
And we don't have to rely on these powers that be in these organizations to give us these, okay, well, this is what's healthy for you.
But
we
it
know
just
what's
creates
healthy
confusion.
It does.
It creates a lot of confusion.
It really
because
does.
if you're coming from a world of highly processed foods, then you're looking for the highly processed foods that are healthier. So the way to level up is to choose the healthier processed foods. So instead of eating Fruit Loops, now I'm going to eat Raisin Bran because it's a healthier version and I'm doing something for myself. When in reality, you're really not doing anything. Yeah. You're not. It's just trading out one thing for the other. But if you're not in the mindset of choosing whole food, then you're always looking for the healthier version, just like the chips, the healthier version of the processed food.
Right.
And until you, like, there has to become an awakening where you realize, okay, that's still not working. So if you're looking for what is the healthiest version of ice cream, because I can't give up ice cream, then you might go for like a dairy-free ice cream or a sugar-free ice cream. Well, it's still ice cream. It still doesn't have the nutritional value. It still has excess calories. And I know we don't want to talk about calories, but calories are a thing. You know, if you're getting 400 calories of ice cream at 8 o'clock at night or sugar-free ice cream at 8 o'clock at night, it's still going to affect your blood sugar. It's still going to affect your insulin resistance. Calories are a problem.
And that sugar-free stuff might be more damaging than regular sugar. So
a sugar-free Coke, if you start drinking that instead of regular Coke because you're trying to cut out sugar, does your body still think it's Coke? Like, does it really matter? Like, does it brain-wise, I guess, is more than how it is digested.
Well, didn't we talk about how your body is looking for the sugar and then it doesn't find it because it has the
That's
chemical.
what it was.
And so it craves, your body starts to crave other
Even
things
more,
that have carbohydrates in them.
Gotcha.
So it may not be sugar driven, but other things that are going to feed that, the digestive enzymes that your body's produced looking for sugar.
You still need to fill that hole.
Yeah.
Well, there's this book I read. It's called The Glucose Revolution. And then I made note cards. And like I was in college because I need to write stuff down to be able to remember it. But she was talking about artificial sweeteners, which I thought was very eye-opening because she was talking about sucralose and how sucralose doesn't have any calories, but it's still going to spike you. Just like it would. And I'm like, wow. So all those things that are maybe 0 calorie, but it's with sucralose, you're still going to get a glucose spike. You're still going to go up and then feel like you come down. Where, which one was it? Monk fruit. I can't remember the other one, but monk fruit was one of the only
monk fruit
ones
and
that
stevia. And now we have allulose, which is another type of sweetener that's not, it's on the market, you can get it, but it's not in the food supply yet. So it's not sweetening beverages and that sort of thing. But that's
What's
another
it called?
One. Allulose.
Oh, yeah. We actually just did one of our last episodes. We did a taste test of all these different soda alternatives, and most of them had stevia in it, and we have decided that we don't like the taste of stevia at all.
I don't like the taste of stevia either.
It's
I like
very
monk
chemically.
fruit.
Yeah.
Monk fruit, I love monk fruit, but I don't like stevia at all.
Stevia is usually hyper sweetened. It's like it's too much.
It was
It's
too
try.
much.
It's a try hard.
It tasted chemically to me.
So ironically, last night I got in from being out of town over the weekend, and last night my 17-year-old tells me that he's trying to gain 20 pounds by the middle of July. Okay, so he did not ask my opinion on if he should do this or how he should do this.
He just told
has
you?
his 17-year-old friend who was telling him how to do it.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
This will end well.
Yeah.
I wish this was my goal. Oh my God, my goal was
I could
sign me
easily
up.
do that.
Say less. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, I'm either so-and-so's doing it dirty gain, clean gain, but I'm going to do the dirty gain. I'm like, can we please talk about this? Can I navigate you through this? I'm happy to help. He's like, nope. So this will be very interesting to see how this all pans out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to gain 20 pounds, but you don't want to do it
Yeah.
dirty.
Okay, so allulose is a rare sugar that tastes just like regular sugar but has almost no calories, about 1/10 of what sugar has. It doesn't spike your blood sugar, so it's great for diabetics or low-carb diets, and the best part is it doesn't have that weird aftertaste like some other sweeteners, stevia. It's in a lot of fruits, but found in small amounts in foods like figs, raisins, maple syrup, jackfruit, wheat.
So I can attest for the taste of it. The taste is pretty...
Just sweet.
Yeah, it's just sweet. I haven't checked it with my blood sugar, though, so that's something I'll have to test
Interesting.
next.
Yeah.
Just got my new set of
Let's talk
sweeteners.
about, do your kids eat the way that you eat? Has that been a
And your
challenge for you?
husband.
My husband does. That makes it so easy. We're very much aligned with, like, he's always been my encourager. And
So has this transition that you've made, have you transitioned him, or has
No.
he always been a little bit healthier and you're kind of coming up to his standards?
so when we first got married, before I gained 60 pounds, it was me teaching him, like, yo, you can have the egg yolk, like, because he was just eating the egg white. It was that kind of, I was like, eat the yolk. But then, he's got on board and he's just been encouraging me, and I don't like to be motivated. Actually, if you try to motivate me, it pisses me off. I do that. Like, don't talk to me. I don't need to be motivated. It needs to come from within. And he's been trying to motivate me. And then finally, over the past 2 years, he was like, I can't even talk to you right now. And I'm like, no, don't talk to me about it. But now we're very much on the same page. Now with my kids, it's been difficult, dude. Like, because they know life before.
How old are
this. They're 13 and a half, 7 and a half, and 2. Now my 2-year-old, she's great because,
born that way.
She was born that way. She knows no different.
But you're also in control of just about everything that she eats.
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes a
Correct.
difference too.
My 13-year-old and my 7.5-year-old, like, y'all, it's embarrassing, but every day after school, this was 2022, even probably into 2023. No. I would go to McDonald's every day after school. They would have a Happy Meal. It would be ready in the car with a Sprite. What? Velveeta cheese? They lived on mac and cheese and ABC 123 SpaghettiOs and Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A and donuts in the morning. Like, y'all, that's what our life was like for the kids.
That's normal for most people.
But now I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder they were so tired. No wonder, like, I'm looking at the behavioral issues now. And the Skittles, like, just, here's some Skittles and here's some Twix and Doritos, like all the things that I'm like looking at now, that was their diet every day. And so whenever I did Whole30, I always say, put that oxygen mask on yourself first. Because I thought that I had to change everything all at one time. And every time I tried to change the whole family, it would fail miserably. So I told my husband, I said, I'm putting the oxygen mask on myself. If you want to do Whole30 with me. And he did. We did it together and we just kind of kept the kids' stuff the same. Well, then I just stopped buying it. And I'm like, this is what you're eating. If you don't want to eat, you're going to jump into a fast and you're going to create a fasting lifestyle just like me. And you're going to go to bed hungry. It's biblical.
You'll survive.
You will survive. And it took a second. I'd probably say it took like 6 to 8 months, but their taste buds had to change. And just recently, this was a huge win because my 7-year-old, she was the one who craved the sugar the most. And I got her donuts recently. I think it was the last day of school. And she hadn't had it in a long time. And she was like, I don't like this anymore, Mom. It tastes fake.
That's a huge victory.
And I'm like, ah,
Yeah, I hope you didn't do
like,
that.
yeah.
I hope you're like, oh, really? It's fake? Wow, I'd have never guessed.
no, I didn't. I was like, yeah, this is amazing, And she was like, why are you freaking out? I'm like, your taste buds are changing. It's recognizing what whole foods are now.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint with the kids, it took a lot of education because they're like, why are we eating this? Why can't? I'm like, Mom's learning and Mom didn't know better. And when you know better, you have to do better. And I'm learning about food. And what Mom ate when I was younger was what you ate, honey buns. And I was so tired and my hair was falling out. And my mom took me to do blood work in high school because she was like, why are you so tired? Maybe because I'm eating a number 2 from McDonald's every day after school and honey buns for breakfast and Fruit Loops, And so I had to really educate and almost teach them what I'm learning because, people won't buy if they don't know why. Right. That's a sales point. Kids won't buy into it. They want to know why on everything.
And they're fully capable of understanding this.
Yeah.
Like, they're not dumb. You just have to teach them on an age-appropriate level. And thank God we've done this for our kids because I see some of their peers and just other kids that are eating all the processed foods and just the way that they behave is completely different and just their functioning throughout the day. And finally, they're noticing the taste. Like, if something tastes chemically, like, oh, that's disgusting, that doesn't taste real.
And you have to experience it yourself to truly understand it, because I didn't believe in all of that, like the dyes can affect their behavioral. I didn't believe that. But then once we cut it out and I saw the changes, and then just being more emotionally regulated myself. Like, between my first daughter and my second daughter, I did this other course and it was healing my nervous system and learning about my nervous system and parasympathetic state and the sympathetic state, and realizing how co-regulation is also real. How people, just like we feed, your husband walks in a bad mood and you're in a great mood. Well,
Ruined.
Somebody pooped in your Cheerios. You know what I mean? Like, I know it is gross, but that's...
We finally got poop in the...
It's gonna affect your attitude. And kids are the exact same way and babies are the same way. And I get compliments on my littlest one all the time, how calm she is. But I think it's because of the work. My husband went on an inner healing journey. I healed my nervous system. You're never going to be fully healed. And just talking to them in a certain way. That's a real thing too with behavior.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was definitely a hard thing to change. And I'm still, my nervous system and my stress levels are probably my biggest challenge. I grew up in a rushed household. We're always late. We always got to move. And just that, I guess it's cortisol. I don't know. I was just like always wound up. And that has trickled into how I parent too so much. And I hate that. So I'm trying to slow down. And that's why I'm really excited about the summer with less routine and just kind of being.
It's hard though. It's like, wired in your nervous system of how you were brought up. That's what you're used to. I was brought up the exact same way. We lived in the car. I was in a bunch of sports. My brother was in a bunch of sports. I ate out of a red Solo cup, Fruit Loops in the morning. Yeah. We took all of our food on the go. And I'm so grateful for my parents, and I realized the sacrifice that they made. Like, those are big financial sacrifices, time sacrifices. But I think I would want to do things differently. Yeah. And they would too. My mom says it all the time. She wishes that she said no to things, and didn't go every single weekend and go and just, she was like, what memories do we have? So she would do things differently too,
We all do the best that we can with the tools that we have at the time. And we're so lucky to live in a time where this is available. Right. Podcasts.
They didn't know.
Internet. No one was Googling what was best. You got like what to expect when you're expecting, and that was pretty much it. Like figure it out.
Encyclopedias were their Google. I think about that all the time. They had to go to an encyclopedia. My grandma still has the book of encyclopedias, and then no telling what propaganda they put in there. Because that's where they were getting the information. Newspapers, encyclopedia, and then a radio.
I remember writing papers and using an encyclopedia.
Yeah,
that was wild.
The internet.
What a weird time.
That's when you need a retinol or whatever. It's telling your age, whatever that meme is.
That's for sure. I think we're all, especially as 90s kids, we're unlearning and detoxing.
I don't think it's unlearning. I think it's just continuous learning.
I like that.
Yeah. Relearning
Just,
the same thing in a different way.
Just keep learning. Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap?
I'm an open book. It's whatever y'all
I feel like we covered so much.
Yeah.
Anything about poop that did your poop change? Did it become easier to poop?
My poop is Instagram worthy at this point.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's your next Instagram account. It's just like your poop.
Instagram's going to be waiting for this now.
I love what y'all are creating here in this community. I love the fact that you just started and you started with what you had. And I saw you talking about like your fear too of just getting out there and doing those seminars, and because you want to make a difference. Like ultimately you want to help one person. And if we can just focus on the one and not the masses, but impacting the one. There's a quote that I always say by, I think it was Mother Teresa, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone upon waters that can cause many ripples. And I see that the two of you guys, you're just casting out stones and it's causing a ripple effect. And I'm so grateful. It's really inspiring of what y'all are doing.
Thank you. We love it. I mean, we love our community, and I think that there's so much to learn, and people don't know what they don't know, and we can't do it alone. So just building this little community slowly but surely is hopefully going to make some good positive changes.
We're all in it together, right?
That's right. Sure. Well, before we let you go, we always ask our guests one last question, and it's, what does living vividly mean to you?
Living unfiltered, living authentically. Not filtering your videos, not filtering your words, not filtering your story, not tiptoeing around other people's feelings, but just living out your own story boldly.
Thanks for listening to Living Vividly. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. For more resources and details from today's discussion, check out the show notes. Until next time, keep living vividly.